The legacy of Mark Twain, wit, wisdom, and the power of humor. Polly speaks for you. This narrative is proudly brought to you by Polly Speaks For You. At Polly Speaks For You, we are committed to empowering individuals, especially those with disabilities or learning challenges, through innovative text-to-speech and voice recognition technology. Polly Speaks For You is more than just software. It's a tool for self-expression, connecting people with the world in meaningful ways. By blending the richness of history with cutting-edge technology, Polly Speaks For You demonstrates that every voice, whether preserving the past or shaping the future, has the potential to inspire. While we strive to make the story engaging, our primary focus is on storytelling itself. The visuals are secondary. We're showcasing the remarkable capabilities of text-to-speech software that bring these stories to life. Mark Twain, Samuel Langhorne Clemens, if you're feeling formal, was more than just the king of comedy. He was the grand poobah of wit, the sultan of sarcasm, and the duke of dry humor. His life was as colorful and entertaining as the tall tales he spun, full of mishaps, misunderstandings, and moments of brilliance. From his early years as a mischief maker in Missouri to his later days as a globe-trotting humorist, Twain was a man who knew how to make people laugh, often at their own expense. The Wild, Wild West, Missouri. Born in 1835 in Hannibal, Missouri, Twain grew up in a town that looked like it came straight out of one of his own novels, full of quirky characters and bizarre situations. As a boy, he was a notorious prankster. In one infamous episode, Twain and his friends convinced a fellow child to trade away his pet frog, promising that this frog would win a frog jumping contest. Naturally, the unsuspecting friend agreed, and the worthless frog turned out to be a champion jumper. Twain's friend walked away with egg on his face, and Mark Twain had his first taste of the sweet, sweet victory of mischief. He would go on to immortalize this event in his short story, The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County, which was a sensation, and not just among frogs. But it wasn't all fun and games. The young Samuel was a curious, eager lad with a sharp mind and an eye for the absurd. He worked as an apprentice printer, a steamboat pilot, and even tried his hand at gold mining during the California Gold Rush. His adventures during this time gave him ample material for later stories. It was on the riverboats that he picked up his pen name, Mark Twain, from the river term for a safe depth for a boat to pass, 2 fathoms. Little did the world know, this seemingly humble term would go on to mark the beginning of one of the greatest literary careers in American history. The frog who jumped into history. By the time Twain landed in California, he had already begun crafting the persona of the humorist that would make him famous. In the mining camps, he told exaggerated stories and spun outlandish yarns that had people in stitches. But it wasn't just the tall tales that made him a hit. It was the way he could make people see the humor in even the most ridiculous situations. It was as though Twain had been handed a mirror and was just waiting for us to look at ourselves and laugh. His big break came when he published The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County, a short story about a frog that was trained to jump but ultimately got outsmarted by a clever trick. It was simple, hilarious, and just the right amount of absurd. The story rocketed him to literary fame, and just like that, Mark Twain became a household name. Enter Olivia, love, marriage, and witty remarks. Mark Twain's love life wasn't all frogs and tall tales, though, in true Twain fashion, he could turn even the most tender moments into something hilarious. Enter Olivia Langdon, the woman who would become his wife. Twain and Olivia's relationship began in 1867. And from the start, they were a perfect match. Olivia was intellectual and serious-minded, while Twain was a comedic genius with a knack for making light of life's darkest moments. Despite their differences, Twain found her the most beautiful woman in the world. This was no surprise, as Twain had a habit of loving in the most dramatic, theatrical way possible. In his letters to her, he was an absolute mush. "You are the sun that lights my world," he wrote once before adding, "and also the marshmallow in my hot chocolate." Twain didn't just adore her, he revered her. Yet, in true Twain fashion, he often found ways to turn their relationship into comedy material. He once wrote, "I'm going to marry you, my dear, and if you can't stand me at my worst, you can't stand me at my best." True love, according to Twain, was 1 part romance and 3 parts sarcasm. The couple had 4 children together, though their lives were marked by tragedy as well. Their beloved daughter, Susie, died young, leaving Twain devastated. He became increasingly introspective, but his humor, though darker, never completely vanished. Twain's greatest hits and misses. Twain's works were a wild ride from start to finish. His most famous books, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, are 2 of the most iconic novels in American literature, but their humor was often cloaked in biting social commentary. Tom Sawyer, 1876, was a rollicking, mischievous adventure about a boy who constantly made trouble and talked his friends into doing the dirty work for him. But underneath the pranks and boyhood adventures, Twain was delivering a sharp critique of society's expectations and values. Then came Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, 1884, a novel that was as controversial as it was revolutionary. Huck, the book's protagonist, is a young boy who decides to escape the rigid morality of civilization and journey down the Mississippi River with Jim, a runaway slave. In the book, Twain tackled issues like slavery, race, and social class, while somehow making us laugh our way through these heavy topics. It was a delicate balance of humor and serious reflection, with Twain at his very best. "I've never let my schooling interfere with my education," Twain famously quipped, showing that he could laugh at the absurdities of formal education while still valuing the lessons life had to offer. But not every venture was a success. Twain invested in a typesetting machine that was supposed to revolutionize printing, and instead, it went bust, taking a large chunk of his fortune with it. He once quipped, "I made enough money to live comfortably for the rest of my life, but I didn't make enough to live for the rest of my life comfortably." His financial troubles didn't stop him, though. He kept writing, speaking, and making people laugh through every setback. Lectures and fame. The world's first stand-up comedian. By the late 1800s, Twain had become a sensation, not just in literature, but on the lecture circuit as well. He began giving public talks, where he would regale audiences with tales from his adventures, offering a blend of sharp social criticism and absurd humor. His lectures were a masterclass in comedy, part stand-up, part social commentary. Twain wasn't afraid to point out the ridiculousness of the world, including the foibles of the people in it. His speeches were filled with dry one-liners that had crowds roaring with laughter. "I've been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened," he once quipped, capturing the absurdity of life's hardships with his trademark humor. Despite his fame, Twain was often a polarizing figure. Some adored him for his wit and sharp insight, while others found his brand of humor a little too pointed. He had his share of rivals, including fellow writer William Dean Howells, whom Twain regularly mocked. But even in his feuds, Twain couldn't help but deliver a punchline. To Howells, he once said, "I'm going to throw a dinner party for you. It'll be one of the most miserable events in your life." The Diaries and Letters, a treasure trove of humor. If you want to truly understand Mark Twain, you need to read his diaries and letters. He was an inveterate writer of personal correspondence, and his letters are filled with equal parts affection, sarcasm, and sharp commentary. Writing to a friend about his book tour, he once wrote, "I am having the time of my life. I'm only slightly insane, and I think I've mastered the art of public speaking. By the way, I think I'll write a book about all my speeches because I am a genius." His diaries are equally hilarious. He would sometimes write entire entries filled with nothing but complaints, observations, and his signature dry humor. One entry reads, "I had a dream last night that I was the smartest man in the world, and then I woke up and realized it was true. Naturally, I had to go back to sleep to get away from all the responsibility." The end of the road. As Twain grew older, he became a bit of a curmudgeon, though his humor never left him. He lived through personal tragedies, including the deaths of his wife and daughter, but his belief in the power of humor to get through tough times remained unshaken. "Humor is mankind's greatest blessing," he said. "It is the only thing that keeps us from being utterly miserable." Mark Twain passed away in 1910, but his legacy continues to live on. He remains the king of comedy, not just because he made people laugh, but because he made them think. His humor was sharp, his observations were keen, and his ability to make people laugh at the absurdity of life was unmatched. Whether it was through his letters, his speeches, or his novels, Twain taught us all that sometimes the best way to understand the world is to laugh at it. And sometimes the best way to deal with life's hardships is to find the humor in them. Twain may be gone, but his voice will echo through the ages, reminding us that laughter is the best way to navigate this wild, wacky world. Situation. Even when life threw him a curveball, Twain would face it with his signature wit. His writing continued to evolve, often reflecting his own personal losses, but always with a humorous twist. Late in his life, Twain became a beloved figure, and though he had faced immense personal struggles, he remained steadfast in his belief in the power of humor. He once stated, "The human race has one really effective weapon, and that is laughter." Whether reflecting on the complexities of human existence, addressing social injustice, or poking fun at himself, Mark Twain's legacy was one of uncompromising honesty and the belief that laughter is a necessary tool for surviving life's trials. Legacy of wit and wisdom. Mark Twain's death in 1910 marked the end of an era, but the influence of his words continues to resonate with readers today. His works are a window into a bygone era, yet they remain timeless in their exploration of human nature. Through his humor and keen observations, Twain not only entertained but also critiqued the social systems and human follies that are still relevant today. Perhaps one of the most enduring elements of Twain's work is the way he intertwined humor with moral lessons. His writing was often a subtle but poignant critique of the societal norms of his time. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, for example, challenges readers to consider their moral compass, as Huck grapples with the question of whether helping Jim, a runaway slave, is a criminal act or an act of humanity. This moral ambiguity, paired with the humor that infused the novel, created a unique reading experience, one that forced readers to think while they laughed. Twain's role in American literature is also notable for the way he bridged the gap between regional literature and national discourse. He brought the voices of the Mississippi River and the American West to the forefront of American literature, giving a platform to characters who might have otherwise remained unheard. He wrote about real people, not just fictional characters, and in doing so, captured the complexities of American society in the late 19th century. Twain's influence on American humor is undeniable. He is often regarded as the father of American satire, and his use of humor to critique social injustices paved the way for future generations of writers who would use comedy as a tool for social commentary. His works, from his novels to his speeches, demonstrate the powerful intersection between humor and social criticism. His wit was not just for laughs. It was a weapon that cut through the pretensions and hypocrisies of the world. Even in the 21st century, Mark Twain remains an integral part of the American literary tradition. His works are still studied, quoted, and loved for their ability to entertain while simultaneously challenging readers to think critically about the world around them. The characters he created, like Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn, and the unforgettable Fraud, have become iconic figures in American culture. Their adventures, filled with both humor and heart, continue to captivate readers of all ages. But Twain's contribution to literature wasn't just about the words he wrote. It was also about the way he wrote them. His conversational style, his use of dialects, and his ability to capture the rhythms of everyday speech revolutionized American literature. He wrote in a way that felt immediate and relatable, making it clear that he was writing about real people and real issues. His work gave voice to the American experience, and that's what makes it enduring. In addition to his literary achievements, Twain's legacy as a public figure is also significant. His lectures were a major part of his career, and he became known for his oratory skills as much as his writing. Audiences flocked to hear him speak, and his speeches were often filled with humor, wisdom, and sharp criticism of the world around him. Twain didn't just write for a living. He performed, he entertained, and he made people think. A true master of words, Twain's influence can be seen in the work of countless writers who followed in his footsteps. From authors like Ernest Hemingway to comedians like Stephen Colbert, Twain's spirit of satire and social critique continues to inspire. His impact on both literature and popular culture is immeasurable, and his works remain as relevant as ever. The final word. Mark Twain once said, "It is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. But the truth is, Twain never remained silent. He spoke, he wrote, and he entertained, leaving behind a legacy of wit, wisdom, and a profound understanding of human nature. He was the original master of making us laugh while making us think, the man who could turn the most absurd situations into universal truths. His life was filled with triumphs, tragedies, and a seemingly endless supply of humor. Whether he was reflecting on his own missteps, poking fun at the world around him, or offering deep insights into the human condition, Twain did it all with a sense of timing and wit that has never been matched. His writings remain a testament to his unique ability to find humor in life's darkest corners and to use that humor to shed light on the absurdity of the world. Mark Twain may have left this world over a century ago, but his words and his spirit live on. His writing is a testament to the enduring power of laughter, a reminder that even in the most difficult of times, humor can be a guiding light. From his unforgettable characters to his sharp social critiques, Twain's work continues to shape the way we think about the world, and of course continues to make us laugh along the way. His legacy is a gift, one that will keep giving for generations to come. If you're enjoying this story, please remember to hit like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue creating content that educates and empowers. To learn more about South Africa's leading accessibility software and to support our dyslexic-friendly initiative, visit www.polispeaks4u.co.za. Drop a comment if you want more information. Thank you for watching this video.